So it's 5 o'clock. I think we'll. All right, we'll start up. It's 5 o'clock, and we will call to order our August 5th meeting. Nice to see everybody. And yes.
Oh, there we go. Can you repeat that? It just wasn't on. It happened very fast.
Oh, sure. I'm just calling the meeting to order. 5 p.m., I believe. Let's see. Maybe it's 5:01 on August 5th. Happy to see everyone, and we will do roll call.
Let the record show that all commissioners are present, with the exception of Commissioners Hebert and Kadakia.
Fantastic. So we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance for those who'd like. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any special presentations or proclamations?
There are none.
Thank you. We'll move on to oral communications.
For oral communications, we have two speakers. The first speaker is Rosemary Kimball with Dancing Brush Studio. And as a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Elder Versailles. I'm training her over time. Oh, it's good to be back and seeing you all. Before I say what I wrote, I wanted to compliment Jennifer on the incredible music extravaganza that we got to see at the end of May, right? June 15th. Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway, it was just an exquisite opportunity for those children to be able to play and for all of us to enjoy it. Thank you for doing that. And I'm sure the rest of you all, she spearheaded it, and I know she took it on as an extra job, so I wanted to particularly point out Jennifer. And then what I wanted to say also today is to acknowledge someone else. And this is from my limited knowledge, and I'm, how could I talk to all of you at the same time? This is hard. And this is just from my perspective of what I can see. She was hired to be an assistant to Jim. Learning to be an administrator to artists is akin to herding cats. But these cats have opinions that I'm sure that you all have found out. And when Jim left, she stepped into his shoes, and then Pacific View happened, and more responsibility. Clearly, she needed more help. Balancing all of those hats in the air, fortunately, she had her eye on the big picture. She kept us all informed as the building progressed, showing up with progress photographs, and now tomorrow, the culmination, the ribbon cutting. And next week, the classes begin. Pacific View Art Center is real, and a big shout out to Colette Murphy. And the way that Colette shepherded her staff to manage all the steps through to this next beautiful chapter. Thank you.
The second speaker today is Jay Bell with Campagna Studios, and he's here to speak in support of agenda item 8A4. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hi and good evening to the Arts Commission and staff. My name is Jay Bell, and I am the founder and board chair of Campana Studios, and I'm here to speak on behalf of agenda item 8A4, where we are proposing the donation of a mural to the Pacific View Arts Center. And congratulations to everyone on Pacific View. As a former board member of EACEA many years ago, I was happy to see Pacific View, and I know I was involved in the transition of that back to a city project, so I'm so happy to see that that vision has been realized and we'll all be able to use it, so it's great. We are proposing a mural as a donation to Pacific View. We've secured all the funding for that. You may be aware, Campana Studios, we are currently under contract and completing the work at El Portal, which the unveiling will be next week. We are a grassroots visual arts organization that was founded 4 years ago to bring high-quality programming into the community. We've expanded that into public art. El Portal was one of our first projects, but we've now expanded that to a few other areas. We would be excited to be able to donate this. We've secured all the money. We'd be happy to go through whatever process it is that's required in the public art process here as well. So once again, thank you for your consideration and congratulations on all the great work you've done.
Okay, thank you to both speakers. We're not able to comment directly on anything brought to us, but we're all hearing that and very grateful, and beautiful shout outs on all ends. Okay, so we will move on to changes to the agenda, which we have one, which is to move action item 9A to the start of the action items before 8A. Oh, sorry. So next we'll move on to item 7, approval of the minutes from June 3rd, our regular meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those, and would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay. I'll second.
Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously, with all the commissioners voting yes, with the exception of Commissioner Hebert and Kadakia, who are absent.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to item 9A, the Cultural Arts Division report.
Good evening. I have brought some guests with me tonight. Because we have expanded the arts staff so significantly, I wanted to introduce them, and not only introduce them, but better define their general roles in things. There's definitely going to be some crossover, but there's primarily 2 sections to the arts division: the City Hall team that will be managing existing programming that that was here before Pacific View, and then, of course, the Pacific View team. So I will start with the City Hall team, and we have Brittany, and if you wouldn't mind standing up when I introduce you and talk about you. Brittany is full-time. She is part of the arts division and is going to be taking the leadership role on the bigger projects such as Art Night, Music by the Sea, Tramonto, our beach concerts, Dia de los Muertos, Nutcracker, our youth piano concerto competition, and the sculpture loan program. And then assisting her will be Olivia, who is part-time, 30 hours a week, so 0.75. She's going to be playing a very significant role in those same projects, as well as taking leadership on the Wednesdays at noon series and managing our website updates. And then I have our last but not least, our half-time, so 20 hours a week. This is Lou, and her primary responsibility is taking lead on the visual art exhibitions both the professional and emerging and the student, as well as overseeing the new student art committee that we are currently recruiting for. So that's the City Hall part of the Arts Division with existing programming. And next, very exciting, fresh out of the package, is the Pacific View team. So I'm going to start with our front counter team, but that does not even begin to explain the wide amount of talent and all the things that they're going to be doing. So first, I'm going to go from this side over. I have Leanne, Brandon, Ginger, stand up, and Danielle. Aaron. So we are missing one more. Aaron, we were able to successfully take from recreation. Thank you very much, recreation. She's on vacation right now, but she is also part of that. Brandon also will be assisting us with Wednesdays at noon. Actually, several of the members of that team can. We're making sure everyone is cross-trained so that people can support both sides, but what I've covered is those primary roles. Thank you. And then Natalia is one of our staff teaching artists, and her specialty is fiber arts. We share her with ICA San Diego. She's immensely talented, and we'll certainly talk about the open houses coming up, but she will be there. There are two other teaching artists, Astrid, who is visual art and multimedia, and Becky, who is performing arts. And we are incredibly lucky that this entire team is very talented. I feel very fortunate that we were able to recruit and have such an amazing team to support all that we do for the arts, both existing programming and what's coming up for Pacific View.
Well, welcome. That's amazing. It's so cool to see such a robust group of people, so devoted, and sounds very lucky to have you all. And yeah, looking forward to also working on stuff together. So
Yes, as you're volunteering and at events, now the faces will be familiar.
definitely. Okay.
Any questions? And then I can move on. I have other updates. Brittany. Brittany, Olivia, and Lou are part of the City Hall team. Leanne, Brandon, Danielle, Ginger, and Aaron are the Pacific View front counter. Natalia, Astrid, and Becky are the staff teaching artists. And Jess is still at Pacific View. Jess is the assistant manager of the center itself, and she is over there still working on some things. All right. Next, I have an update on the sculpture loan program. We had 2 successful installations on July 31st. The sculpture in Cardiff and the one at Pacific View Art Center were installed. There was an issue with getting the sculpture installed at Encinitas Boulevard. The artist was not interested in using the established base, and we encountered some issues with the diameter of the holes and being able to get it attached to the existing base. So that one has been delayed to be installed on September 23rd, along with the one at the Equestrian Park in Alevenhain. That artist was just not available. He was otherwise occupied, and that date was picked to accommodate his schedule. El Portal mosaic unveiling is scheduled for Saturday, August 10th. Installation is almost complete. It will be at 12:15. It's going to be pretty cool. Jeremy Wright, the lead artist, has got some fun things planned, not just the unveiling, but also doing a quick walk and talk and sharing some of the history connected with each of the panels. So if you are able to attend, it's well worth doing so. The artwork is spectacular, and what he will bring to it is just another notch above. It's going to be spectacular. And it is free and open to the public. Keep in mind, it is a small site, so be patient if there's a big crowd. 3 mosaic medallions were recently renovated and have been installed today. La Paloma, Swami's, and the Birds of Paradise all needed to be completely renovated. We've talked about this once before with the first round. The existing medallions are put in with just commercial tile, and the amount of wear and tear that they take on the sidewalk along 101 just causes them to continually need to be maintained. And so in this renovation process, they've been built thicker and out of a more durable material, and the ones from a year ago that got put in have not sustained damage. So this is a much better, it's more respectful to the art, it's safer for the community. So we're excited to have those 3 completed, and we are looking at a few others that are in regular pathway and need to be renovated. So as soon as that process gets underway, I'll share that with all of you. And that is the end of my report. I have other items that are connected to work plan and Pacific View that I will cover when we get to those sections.
Sounds good. Any questions? Okay. It's been a full summer. Yeah. We will move on to action items. 8A is our work plan, and we'll go ahead and go through that and give updates. And each of the ones listed below, we will cover as we move through that.
It's loading. There we go.
Okay. So for the first one, Commissioner Hebert couldn't be here tonight, but he did attend this month's cultural tourism. And I have some notes that I will go ahead and share. The main seemed like a full meeting, and mostly the agenda focused around the committee's mission statement in the making. He said that in the discussion, NIME of the EFA asked for language emphasizing the city's cultural richness. There was also discussion of whether to mention specific Encinitas identified activities such as surfing and skating, for all the cold winter sports that we participate in here. It was mentioned that from a tourism standpoint, the city wants to emphasize things people can see when visiting here, not necessarily do, which is interesting. Council member Allison Blackwell talked about research into branding for Encinitas, exploring the process for the city also being deemed a California Cultural Arts District. So I had sent the commission some relative, I know that Patricia Frischer and INCAN held an event last month in which there was a really great presentation on that, which I shared with the commission as an informational item. So there's that as a resource. And then,
Just to clarify, there's kind of 2 segments in that cultural district. The California Cultural District, that's something that is designated through the state. It's a specific program. And when that opens, we can certainly apply again. The other part of that is just self-designating, this is our cultural district. And that's something that is really up to that committee, council, those kinds of things. So the California Cultural District designation is something we would have to apply for and be awarded.
Thank you. And he said the slogan for the revamped tourism agency is visit Encinitas where summer never ends, unless I am telling you about it. Yeah, so there's lots of thought to how Encinitas is presenting itself and inspiring people to come participate here. The cultural arts, I will share just from their agenda, one of their mission statements is to promote, support, and celebrate the art, history, culture, and diverse natural environment of the project unique coastal communities of Encinitas through networking and project partnerships. So I'm sure Jim could share more, but that is what was shared with me. Okay, so number 2, does anyone have an update for any funding? Can move through those unless there is an update.
I just have a quick. I found just a couple of general arts funding grant opportunities that I had shared with Colette, and I don't know if you have any feedback, if those were appropriate or helpful.
They're definitely appropriate and helpful. I think one of them was one that we've already started looking into. As I'm sure you can imagine, our plate is rather full.
Yeah.
So we are looking at those and putting things in priority order for what we can accomplish. We're definitely looking at things that are date specific that need to get our attention, our current programming, and then working on getting the grant applications completed as we have the opportunity.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure I was kind of on the right track.
You are on the right track,
Okay,
and keep
great.
sending them. There's no
Okay.
harm in sending them our way. Sometimes we're already aware, and sometimes we're not. So it's absolutely fine. Even if you send something that's on our radar, it's well worth the send.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. For number 3, this is about 3 different ad hocs in which we help the city staff with the promotion of city arts programs. The first is specific to Pacific View. I can give a very brief update, which is that we've met and we're looking at more creative ways of promoting. And we know that it's an iterative process with lots of programming coming on. So we're looking forward to continuing to let everyone know about that through social media, through banners, through all sorts of different ways. I did want to ask you about 2 things on that front. We had talked about a podcast that was supposed to be happening around the opening of Pacific View. I just wanted an update on that.
I don't have an update on that. I have not been the one taking the lead on that. Pacific View, getting the center open in and of itself has been taking considerably more. We knew it would take a lot, and it has really taken a lot. And that has not been something that has taken place just yet. There's still ample opportunity to participate in it and have it do a lot of good. So I don't know that that door is closed. We just haven't walked through it yet.
Okay. That is off of our plates as far as I understand, as far as like having handed it to staff, if you desire us to move forward with that anymore.
If you wanted to reach out to her and see if you can coordinate an alternate time after August 13th, that would be fantastic.
Okay, I can do that. Is there, Commissioner Hebert is for Art Night and other programs remains open. Does anyone want to hop on that ad hoc? Okay, we'll move on to number 4 for presentations that happen during these meetings. We have we've contacted 3 different people, I believe, and all of them are interested in presenting. We're kind of looking at the schedule as to what makes most sense when. Moving on to arts education, number 5. Research the feasibility of future artist in residency programs. That ad hoc is open, and is there anyone who would like to hop on there?
I would like to hop on there.
Okay. So, have
Is
it
that
noted.
Commissioner Romer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I will probably hop on there, but not this month. And the second is for community engagement programs at Pacific View Art Center. And we also met, we don't have any major updates right now. Unless anyone else would, no, okay. So number 6, all commissioners will support the City Arts educational programs by sharing program proposals, both for Pacific View and for remaining programs. That's just ongoing, I think, and no major update there, although it's really been fun to notice all of the additive programming at Pacific View that just keeps rolling on.
And just continue promoting that. I think as the center is open and more people are there might start to be more interest from potential instructors. There is one path, and it is through the website by putting in an initial proposal. So going to the city's website, encinitasca.gov/instructor, just start there. Everything, as I've said before, everything has to be fair, everything has to be the same. So even if it's someone and you know you've taken their class and you know they'd be excellent, they still have to go through that same path.
Yeah, and the website's real. It's you guys have done a great job making that very straightforward and easy to use, with enough space to really get your message across.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to public art. And the first one we will jump into is I don't think there's anything, is reviewing for public art projects. There's nothing for Pacific View right now, is there? No, because we're going to do donation after, sorry.
Right, you have 2 proposals for artwork donations. 1 sculpture and 1 mural.
Yes. Okay, so 7A, let's listen to, sorry, I'm just not seeing it on the document here. So let's hear about the, which is first on there. I'm just not seeing. Is the Mady Morehouse. Okay, so I'll hand it over to the ad hoc. Sorry, I just lost my place there.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so we recently met with the artist and viewed the artwork. We also toured the site, the Pacific View, and evaluated various placement options. We would recommend accepting the artwork. We have several reasons for this. The piece is well constructed. We feel like it's relevant to the site. It has the potential to inspire and engage the community, enrich the creative environment. Also, it's low maintenance. Once installed, it won't require any maintenance. It has a natural patina that's well suited for an outdoor display, which will evolve over time, but it'll enhance the appeal. We wanted to propose 2 locations. Were you able to attach the?
Let me check. I don't know that they are, but I could easily get us to that site, or you could describe it.
Okay, so one is sort of the landscaped area on the east side near 3rd Street. There
Okay.
is an existing concrete pedestal there.
Yep, keep talking, I'm gonna
Okay, I
pull it up.
emailed you sort of some images of it. I don't know if.
I have not spent a lot of time in front of my computer.
No worries.
I've been out and about.
Yeah, so it's if you enter the space from 3rd Street by foot, you would be walking kind of up towards the main office, and off to the left there's a landscaped area, and there is an existing concrete pad that is there. That would be one suggestion for a location. The sculpture would be visible to pedestrians entering from that site, from that street. It wouldn't be visible because of the height. It wouldn't be visible from the street. It would be visible to people potentially that are hanging out in the kind of seated area at the corner of 3rd Street and, what is it, West, I don't know, that other street that's on the side there. It would remain accessible and visible to the public even during closed hours. One of my concerns about this site is that the sculpture's size, it's 50 inches, and the details of this, oh yes, there we go, thank you, that's it right there.
You see that's the pad area
Yes.
right here.
Yes. So the size and the details I feel are best appreciated up close. And the pad is there isn't a path going over to it. It's all sort of a landscaped area. So it kind of discourages close inspection. And also due to its size and sort of the natural patina, it might not be very noticeable from that location. The other site that we wanted to propose would be in front of the main office, under the shaded area next to the bench.
So in this, so if you can imagine, for those of you coming tomorrow or on Saturday, this is going to be a lovely before and after, because this is a very old image. Right now, there is a pergola right here. This is the admin staff lobby, public lobby. And then right outside that is a pergola with 2 red benches, one going like this and one going like that. And there is a nice open area.
Right. And so if it was placed there, the sculpture would be visible to people entering the building from the parking lot and people, walking to their classrooms or to the office, and those seated in the benches in the shaded area. It would not be accessible or visible to the public during closed hours, but that might offer protection and maybe deter vandalism. And I think that location would allow viewers to view the sculpture from an appropriate distance and enhance their experience of the sculpture. Some additional considerations. So currently, the sculpture is on sort of a short granite pedestal, and the artist can transport it. We would need to. She has brackets that can be bolted into the floor. We would just need to install that. Theoretically, we could have a larger pedestal made that would, the artist can assist with that process. Potentially, it could be made in concrete, which would be the least expensive option. There would be additional costs for the city, though. So that's just something to think about if we were interested in raising it a little bit.
I just wanted to add one other consideration for the bench area. If it is a high traffic area, there's just always the risk of someone maybe falling on the sculpture. And I don't know how close in relation to the bench itself, but just something to consider. And in the other area, it would be a little bit more public art just because that particular side of the building is open to the public. So just throwing that in there.
Just to clarify, with that side of the building, as far as I understand, the fencing is going to remain up. No? that new?
Where the pedestal is, or where that concrete space is, correct me if I'm wrong, Colette, but I think the fence will come down up until kind of halfway.
So all from along East Street, fencing all along here to about here. There is currently fencing and a gate that come across in about this area. That is going to remain. So it'll be gated from here down along the perimeter and then around 4th Street up to this corner of Building 1. So it is the north and a portion of the east section, that fencing is either down already or will be taken down and removed at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
And I believe the concrete pad is not within that fence.
Right, the concrete pad is here, and the pergola is obviously well within where it's protected.
Great. Does anyone have questions? So at this point, thank you for all that work. That's exciting. We have something for this time when we're inaugurating the building, and that it can, feel so, for lack of a better word, festive in that way, and really commemorated as far as such an exciting sculpture. Does anyone have strong feelings here on the commission about either site that have been suggested?
I feel that I would need to just kind of go there and walk the grounds and to assess that.
The artist will be there tomorrow, so she's going to be there at 11. So if you'd like to meet her, you can do that then.
Okay, great. And as far as the recommendation that the ad hoc is putting together, are you ready to make a recommendation for a vote, or are you waiting to have the two sites kind of looked at, the artist spoken with?
Well, the way I understood, we could recommend both sites. I think that was the direction we were going with, to keep both of those sites on there and just kind of.
Yeah, just to present both unless the commission saw some reason not to recommend both, and then I guess to have the council make the final determination, unless you see.
You can make that recommendation if that is your decision.
Yeah, I mean, we think both things can work and be a great display for this particular donation. And just to note also, it cannot be indoors. It has to be outdoors. So I think that's my vote, is just to leave it at the two recommendations.
Okay, great. I don't see any strong reason to make a recommendation that lists one over the other. So at this point, I think you guys have been so thorough, and we could bring it to a vote. Is there an actual languaging as far as the recommendation is concerned that we need to?
You should state the two locations you'd like considered, and I'll make sure that they are properly illustrated for council when it goes. Keep in mind, this will have to go for a public comment, and then the public comment results will be matched up with your recommendation, and those two pieces will go to council.
Okay. So does one of you want to say those two locations and the recommendation as you would like to put forth?
Oh, just right now?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So the first location would be the concrete pad by 3rd Street. And then the second location would be by the benches in front of the main office under the shade structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as a commission, we are recommending that the city accept this donation and have it be placed at either one of these sites.
Yes.
And the artist specified that it is a donation that she would like to have placed at Pacific View, so that's part of the recommendation, of course.
And then you'll need to vote on it.
Would anyone like to make a motion to call a vote?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a second.
Can you repeat who made the motion? Was that Fader? And confirming the second was Romer? Oh, it was?
It was me, Jennifer.
Markovitz. Okay. Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioners Hebert and Kadakia, who are absent.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. It's so exciting. Okay, so moving on to review the proposed art donation, the mural from Campagna Studios.
So I assume we'll have to go through a similar process to evaluate this donation as an ad hoc committee? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And can we ask any questions about?
Yeah, I think this is on the agenda. We haven't seen it before, so I think we can review it and talk about it. And then the same ad hoc, I believe, for public donations would go to work.
Okay, sounds good.
This one differs in that not just, so as with the prior one, Pacific View was identified as the site, but not specifically where. In this particular application, the artist has specified a specific location. So you don't have that same work to do because it's not, they're not asking anywhere. The donation is being suggested and offered for that particular wall as illustrated in their proposal.
I'd like to look at the proposed artwork in conjunction with the color palette of the paint of the building and just make sure that the colors are cohesive because there's a lot of color there and we put a lot of color in and I don't know if it's been kind of tied, but it looks like something that you could refine the colors just to make sure that it doesn't stand out. Has it done that? Oh, it does. It talks.
If in the proposal, in this first paragraph, it says final color selection will be derived from the palette used for the Pacific View project.
Okay, good. I was going to say that. Okay, perfect.
So are there any considerations we should know, Colette, before we do the review of this donation as far as like a mural installation process, requirements from the city, that type of thing?
There is the possibility that the city may want to wait a short period of time before anything's actually installed, getting the center open, but no restrictions that I am aware of.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd suggest that, the ad hoc take this over the next month and, again, move in a timely manner so that this can get going and either way. And thank you to Campagna Studios for bringing it forth and all the work. I think it's really cool that the campaign raised over $125,000 for students and families during the COVID pandemic for families facing food insecurity, and so there's elements of this mural that kind of draw from that campaign. And it's a nice thing for the art center. I don't think we need to go too far into discussion tonight, and we will at our next meeting.
And another really nice before picture presented. It's going to make you really appreciate what it looks like when you see it tomorrow.
Yes.
The site.
So cool. Okay. So we'll move on. So thanks, Jay, for coming and presenting as well, and for being here during that part of the discussion. Now we will move on. There's nothing to discuss for the rest of the Pacific View. We'll move on to the sculpture loan program. And the ad hoc has done a lot of work on this one. We've also met with staff, and there's an update to be shared on that. And I'll just introduce that conversation now, as far as that there's going to be two different avenues potentially taken. One is an expedited process to address the two remaining empty sites that were not filled during the original recommendation to council. And that is a process that is operational in its manner, and that staff decided to move forward with, and we kind of gave input and considerations to that process. And Colette can speak to the kind of overview. And then the second part of that, of the two-prong address, is work that we as an ad hoc and then the whole commission will do to revamp the sculptural loan program as a whole. And that's taking our direction from council to review and update the judging criteria, as well as how we engage the public early in the process and throughout. And as we looked at those two elements, we thought that the program as a whole could use a bit of a revamp, just so that it's easy to implement throughout time. And it's a program that we're so excited to have inaugurated already, and want to continue its success and its future success. So, Colette, why don't you go ahead and speak to the operational, like the expedited process, and then we can speak to the latter. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Staff will be reviewing the documents necessary to re-release the original artist call and expect to have it out in late August. And that call will be open for a shortened period of time, much shorter than before, just for 4 weeks. And then any qualified, meaning it meets the height, weight, those engineering limitations for each site, those will be put for a community survey for just a 2-week period. And then it'll come back to the commission to make a recommendation to council and then go to council. So adding up all of that time, we are looking at a potential January installation. There really isn't a way to have it be any shorter, and we will see what kind of applicants we get and can go through that process. Then in tandem, obviously, is the process you're about to talk about.
So as part of that expedited process, we did make the recommendations that there may be ways to engage the public around each site through a QR code that can link to the public survey once at that point. So if anyone has any ideas, we've talked about QR codes that were on banners, potentially sandwich boards, so those can be taken more easily. And we also have suggested some modified language for the artist call or the RFP, whatever document does go out, just to help facilitate that getting out as quickly as possible. And massaging it a bit as far as the kind of call that, specific to each site. I'll put it that way. For our work as an ad hoc, we've already done a fair amount of research. We've looked at other cities' public art programs. We've looked at different organizations, foundations, and cities' judging criteria. And so we are also going to conduct a few interviews with members of the public at some point. I've set up a conversation to be had with the ad hoc with a branding specialist who does research about how to engage and understand how people make decisions. She's local. And so with all of that involved, and then coming up with some new language for the program as a whole, we wanted to give staff and council a rough estimated date. We're hoping that by spring 2025, that can be, presented to council and approved. And that's a conservative estimate based on having sculptures then ready for install when the current cohort is deinstalled. So in other words, we're thinking forward to when does staff next want to be able to put out a call for an artist for round 2 of this program, and we want the program fully revamped and hopefully approved by council, so that there's plenty of time to do that in the normal time manner, not an expedited one.
To clarify, you're expecting to have a recommendation for council in the spring?
Mm-hmm. If not before. We backed it out, so as long as that gets to council, and it even gives time to rework it if needed, but we backed it out, and from the timing of the original program, as far as, how long the RFP could go out, and et cetera. I would like to, I would like to, since we all have an opportunity to speak here, and I think the ad hoc will do a considerable amount of work over the next month. I have one question that I haven't had time to ponder enough to have to engage in a conversation with you all. But I'm putting it out there for everyone to be able to think about in the next month, because I'm just curious what your thoughts are. If you have brief thoughts right now, we could always get there. I just don't want to get in the weeds. I'm just wondering about coming up with a really tight process that's easy for staff to implement. And a few things have happened over the last couple of weeks. I just want to be able to think really clearly about all views. And I'm wondering if there are any situations you can think of that would prove an exception to the established process. I'm not suggesting that at all. I just want to make sure that when I'm thinking through a process, say, the greatest artist ever came to Encinitas and said, here, I want to loan this sculpture for 2 years to this program. And we'd say, thank you very much, fill out this application, and we'll get back to you. Or, and we'll go through this process. Do any of you see can imagine any instance that an exception would be made to that process?
So just to clarify, you're asking if we can imagine an instance where an exception would be made for an artist so that the artist wouldn't have to go through the process that we propose? Is that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think super broad before we get very specific and find a program that like, this is a process that we think works. But, and maybe that's silly. It just seems like, because those exceptions I can't imagine what they would be. But I wanted, everyone has great views on this commission, and I just wanted to throw that out there.
I don't think that, I think the process for an artist to apply isn't too strenuous. I don't think we're asking too much of the artist, so it's hard to imagine a reason why an artist wouldn't be able to comply with what we're asking for. Just my immediate thought.
I would also just follow that up by saying, I think these processes exist to give everyone a chance to kind of think through a potential installation, no matter what it is, because there might be things to consider, even if it was something very valuable or famous or, whatever might make that question come up. And I think the process gives time for input and feedback. So I would just recommend that everyone goes through the same process.
Yeah, I was going to say it should be the same for everybody, even if we had like Leonardo da Vinci come, he'd have to apply too. But that would make it fair, square, and also it would, to echo you, I don't need to echo you, but just I like everybody has the input and added, and it's just the same. So it's something to expect all the time, I guess.
I think that, you're thinking in a world, is it possible? I think it's not possible for this commission to change a rule. I think the only possible way would be if city council assigned the spot. But I think that we certainly wouldn't be able to accept anything. But I also think that since we're forming this new standard, that we can learn a lot from this last round of submissions. And we can see how, in real time, our guidelines have either supported or hindered the ability to get this art in. So I think definitely right now, streamlining the process for the next round, we wouldn't want to lose that opportunity to be involved and have this last chance to examine all of the submissions that way.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything? Okay, awesome. So that concludes that update. And nothing going on at Olympus Park for the rest of that public arts, I think, is done. So moving on to number 8, performing arts. For the community engagement program, possibilities for the use of the Steinway D piano.
Sure. Thinking kind of 8 and 9 kind of go together in my mind, but I'd like to talk about 9 first, but I'm not going, I can't, so I'll go in order here. But when I think of 8, I was thinking of modeling it after 9, because 9 was through a partnership with the North Coast Symphony Orchestra, so it was it's a partnership. And thinking of 8 being that way, and maybe sometime down the line, merging those two. So thinking about the Steinway D, I understand that it's not being played as much, and it's a gorgeous instrument. We like to have it played more. I've been in touch with some artists and some people who are really excited. For 8, was proposing, investigating, like a chamber piano festival type of thing. So this would be different from the number 9, where that's a competition and there was monetary award. But number 8 is not that, but it's more of a festival, and I would say a little bit more laid back, and not like high pressure or anything like that, because there's a prize money involved. But this is to promote the piano, beyond playing solo piano, because solo piano is pretty much, a lot of people do that. But when you have piano in a spotlighted in a different way, like in a chamber, such as duet, it's very, very unique. And also having piano with a small chamber group, such as different types of instrumentalists, like strings or winds or something like that. And I think that would be really special. I had mentioned before about the whole idea of mentorship. And I think that it's important to bridge the gap, or to bring together artists, master artists with budding artists, and to have a mentorship so that they can learn from them. So with the piano duet, I've made connections with this husband and wife duet team, and they're Steinway artists. They can get a Steinway at the drop of a hat. All they have to do is just call up somebody, and a Steinway will show up. It's pretty amazing. Another Steinway for their needs. So I wanted to propose to create something like this, because this will get the piano played more, but most importantly, it will engage more people in the art of playing the piano in different ways, such as what I mentioned, duet and piano and chamber. So I had submitted before to staff kind of like a blueprint that's kind of modeled after Ad Hoc 9, but not with a whole lot of work in between. And it would be I think it would be a little bit more self-operational, the program would be, and having master classes with, what'd I say?
Sorry, they've all got an appointment tomorrow pretty early, so they're off to get some rest.
Okay. So that's what that would. I wanted to bring up about master classes, and this husband and wife team that I mentioned about. That's in the document that I forwarded to staff. They're very gung ho. They're very knowledgeable. They have a long extensive repertoire list that they can play, that they can adjudicate, that they can mentor young artists. And so that's what Ad hoc A is all about, and just would like to make a recommendation to pursue this, to create this program. And like I said, I submitted a kind of a blueprint to check out. And yeah, so how do I go about that? With recommending?
It's something that we are going to be able to consider in a future year.
Mhm.
There is no staff capacity to take on another program from scratch in this fiscal year, but being able to think through those details and do the consideration so that we could look at it. We have no funding. It's not included in this year's budget. So being able to look at that as for planning in the next year's budget, those are realistic possibilities.
Okay, so, well, you have the blueprint or, the draft. You can check it out and, do what you want with it.
You could also potentially attach it to our next agenda if you wanted input from since nobody else is on the ad hoc with you, if this is something you want to discuss at all, or have our eyes on that we could read, between meetings and give you feedback.
Okay.
As a whole, you could do that.
Okay.
I'm interested. I think it sounds awesome. And yeah, absolutely realistic that a whole new program wouldn't occur until next year. With everything that's going on. And so it seems like ample time to, again, time moves fast.
And also to consider what those funding needs might be. Think of it from beginning to end, what's involved, what would be required, so that if that's something we put forward as a budget request in the next fiscal year, we're asking for sufficient funds and it's well fleshed out.
Okay. So that's number 8. Should I just go into number 9? Mm-hmm. Okay. So number 9, the piano competition concert on June 15th. I think that was the highlight of my summer. And then after that, everything went downhill. I had a leak in my house. Anyway, that was really spectacular. And the 3, if y'all came to it, it was pretty exciting. I stitched together a video of the performances. It's not, I'm not an expert at videography, but at least it's available to find on YouTube. You can find that. And so looking ahead at beyond now, we're already kind of started that for 2025. And right now the orchestra is, they're, I guess you could say, on vacation for the month of August. They're not in operation right now in August. So we have some new repertoire being proposed, and also some dates. So once they come back, we'll be able to talk more about repertoire and dates and start to plan and launch something for next year.
Thank you for that update. Awesome. Yeah, and just to echo what Rosemary shared as well, is just an amazing program. It was amazingly well attended. I mean, they had to put, I think, 5 extra rows of chairs to accommodate everyone. And just seeing the performers, each one so unique and each piece of music so unique, it was really, yeah, it was pretty astounding. It was really, really cool. So thank you. And this is the residents here and elsewhere are really lucky to have it. And I would say when it does happen next year, go. Okay, so we'll move on to visual arts. With the planning recommendations for Art Night, staff, do you have any update for that as far as dates for the next and talking about what happened at the last?
The next art night is as scheduled on November 16th. So we are starting to work on planning for that. We certainly miss having the commission participation in an ad hoc capacity because that was very helpful. If at any point you'd like to change, we'd love to have members on there and participate. Jess can give you some updates on the June 29th one.
It was a lot of fun. We always get more people than we expect, which is brilliant. Lots of community engagement, lots of different age engagement, which was wonderful. And I think a lot of the artists at my centre for sure sold pieces, which was always a win. And yeah, it was just a really good, well attended, and we were really heavy on volunteers, which was really great for this one. And I don't know what the difference is. Definitely something to do with the city's volunteer site functioning well and drawing people in. And yeah, it was a really, really great art night, and thrilled to hand over to Brittany and Olivia for the next one, because I'm sure it's in capable hands.
Fantastic. Okay, so we'll move on to number 11. Colette, is there any update for that, for the visual art selection panel?
Just to share that the deadlines are coming up. The visual art for professional emerging artists for 2025 is out and going to the Encinitas ca.gov/visual art is where those artists could find all of that information and be able to submit a proposal for jurying. New in 2025, we will be offering student exhibitions, and that deadline, so the professional emerging applications are due by Sunday, September 14th. For the students, those are due Monday, October 14th. And they've been given the theme to present artwork that is icons of Encinitas, and that is for the artists to interpret what that means. There is also a student art committee that we are hoping becomes more involved as that committee develops more. So applications are available for that. And all of those applications, again, going to the city site, encinitasca.gov/visual art.
Thank you. So yeah, just as with all of this, I think all of us are remembering to speak with our networks and let everyone know about those opportunities.
Share it and know that we have more opportunities for 3D artists. There's just an additional case, so there's that much more opportunity for 3D artists to submit. In the times that we've not received sufficient 3D proposals for exhibitions, we have taken small 2D pieces and done them in there. Small 2D works don't generally hang well on the hanging systems at the library and at the community center, or at City Hall for that matter. They need to have a little bit more weight to them in order to hang properly. So that's something to consider. If you know a 3D artist, encourage them to apply. We always have so many fewer of those applications, of those proposals submitted than we do of 2D. So we have to turn away a lot of 2D, and we don't have enough of 3D.
Thank you. Does anyone else have an update for that one? No? Okay. Okay, so for number 12, the ad hoc will assist city staff and Encinitas student advisory panel with the student art exhibitions at City Hall.
So I covered that a little bit. This is the new part for 2025, and we're looking to engage student artists in grades 7 through 12 and hope that they will participate in this. There's a lot of options, everything from planning, curating, art night, coordinating. So if there's someone who just really wants to be involved, maybe they're not an artist, maybe they just like art, maybe they're looking for something to add on to their college application. They don't have to be an artist. and they can participate in just one segment of it. They could participate start to finish. So that's the student committee, and it's a very easy application, same website. And then artists who live or go to school in Encinitas are invited to apply to exhibit in the student show. And that there's some flexibility as to when that goes up and comes down around their school year and their availability. So generally, January through May will be the first one with the theme Icons of Encinitas.
And how is that being promoted to young people, grade 7 through 12 at this point?
Right now, reaching out to the local art teachers within the schools so that they can present it. Also putting that information out to arts organizations within Encinitas, so if they have students who are interested in submitting. And then we're going to start to get it out in social media and do other things. Just so happens we have an art center where we're offering some classes. And we're going to promote through that as well, so that students who participate, if they're interested, or their parents are taking a class and perhaps they have a student at home who might want to submit.
Do you have a flyer or something that could be circulated to the schools with a QR code or something like that?
We are going to. Right now, we have the website. We're working on it. We've been busy.
Sounds great. Super good opportunity for, for young people, as you say, not only artists, but across all sorts of parameters.
So those emails are going out, and we know that having a flyer by the time school starts, so we got another week. We're still ahead of the game.
Probably even more so.
I'm already in school. Oh my God. It's old hat for me.
It is available to any student who lives or goes to school in Encinitas, whether it is a public school or a private school. So it is grades 7 through 12, lives or attends school in Encinitas.
Thank you. And then I think that concludes our work plan as far as...
Excuse me. I was wondering if I could have a clarification on that, what you just said. One local district kind of goes into Carlsbad, and Carlsbad, even though it's I'll just say Encinitas Union School District, for example, has a couple, maybe one or two schools that are into the Carlsbad city limits. So how does that work? How does that work for?
Well, again, if they live in Encinitas, if they attend school in Encinitas, so those are the parameters. So if they live in Encinitas but attend one of the elementary or high schools that are not in Encinitas, they still qualify because they live here. For example, La Costa Canyon is a high school that is located in Carlsbad. A number of Encinitas children attend that high school. So the requirements are that they either live or attend school in Encinitas. So that captures a big group, kind of touches all those bases with our school districts that cross over into multiple cities.
Okay.
And then there is one more item on here that I was going to touch on, which is the bylaws. There is the special meeting on Thursday with the commissions to have a workshop to discuss the drafting of new bylaws or amending of existing bylaws, depending upon what the case may be. Some commissions already have bylaws.
Right. Yeah, I was about to mention that. And hopefully, is everyone planning on attending? Okay, great. Okay, so there's no update beyond that.
No, just a reminder that it's happening. I'm glad to see that the 5 of you are available to attend. It's really helpful, I think, to be able to get that input and to participate in the workshop. I don't have any additional information beyond that, but it's an important part of that process.
For sure. Okay, great. So that concludes the work plan, and we will Move on to 8B, Pacific View Art Center, and not an exciting update at all today. Just the opposite, actually super exciting. And the ribbon cutting is tomorrow. The open houses are tomorrow and Saturday, and classes have been open for registration for some time now. Classes start, I believe, on the 14th of August. 13th.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're excited to hear your report.
Yep, so you covered all the high points. The big deal is the ribbon cutting is tomorrow. Gates will open at 9. The ribbon cutting itself will start at 9:30, followed by an open house from 10 to 3. It is free. Parking will be very limited. Please don't plan to park on site. The ribbon cutting is actually taking place in the parking lot, so a portion of that will be cordoned off to allow for safety of those up in that area. There's ample, at that time of morning, there really is a fair amount of available parking on the street. You can also park at City Hall. It's a short walk down the hill. We strongly, strongly recommend carpooling, riding your bike if you can, if you live close enough to walk, or like I said, park at City Hall and walk down. It's a short ceremony, and then in the open house, you're going to get a chance to meet some of the teaching artists, get a sense of what kind of classes and workshops are going to be offered. There are 8 classrooms with general categorical setup that we've talked about before, visual, performing, multimedia, and then some multi-use spaces to cover things like literary, fiber, and other specialty kind of arts. So it's the perfect opportunity for someone who really doesn't know what Pacific View is, what it looks like, hasn't seen it in a while, to come and really get a sense of it. And if tomorrow, being a weekday, isn't a good day, on Saturday the 10th, we'll have another open house from 10 to 3. Same kind of thing, maybe not the same experiences, but some different ones. And Jess could give you a quick overview of the kinds of things that people could experience.
We'll have armatures on display, painting, forged sculpture, poetry workshop taking place. There'll be a independent film presentation from an instructor that wants to offer film classes. We've got some incredible musicians coming down who'll play in the round in room 5. There'll be a loop station demonstration in room 5. In room 6, you can get your photo taken on the green screen with Encinitas on the background, and see how all the broadcast technology is going to be utilised. In the performing arts room, we'll have improv, acting demonstrated, and there'll be some children participating in a musical, numbers from Peter Pan. Have I forgotten anything? We'll have our in-house instructors demonstrating what they'll be offering with fiber arts, printmaking, and performing arts musical, as I said. And then I think that's everything.
Well, it's a pretty good covering. And just a reminder, it's open house, so we have permission to have people be able to come in without having to worry about that capacity, but it's because we're not sitting down, there is no participation in anything. It's coming in open house style, what's going on, kind of seeing it. So it's not interactive, it's very just informational, get the information and move through into the other stations. So just to establish some expectations, there is no sitting down and taking a class or doing the thing. So when there's different things going on, like the kids are participating in something, but that's the program that you're going to be able to go in and witness. Kids can't come and join in. You can't come in and join in on the poetry workshop. You can see what's going on and get a sense of what that class or what that workshop might be like to sign up and register, which we encourage people to do because there is a variety of things from one day, very inexpensive, to more involved, longer term classes. So there's a variety, and we are continually adding more, continuing to do more and more recruitment, so there'll be more programs continually offered.
I have a question with those of us who might be able to come and to to support? Will there be some, how can we help?
I'm glad you asked. We could use some more volunteers. Jess is doing that coordination, so if you are able to volunteer for some portion of tomorrow, please let me know. We can chat about that briefly after this meeting, or if you know right now you want to tell me you can come, we would glad to have.
Robin that hasn't shared, if she's able, but everybody else has shared.
Okay, Robin, if you are available, we'd love to have you come.
I think I actually signed up through the volunteer portal.
Oh, through Volgistics?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Would you mind telling us what that is? Because I don't know we'll be able to get into that before tomorrow morning. Oh, can you? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And
You can still tell us.
I did not sign up through the volunteer thing. Do I need to, or? Okay.
so you
Okay.
have us, and we just show up, and then you'll tell us then.
I'd like a couple of you to be present on some of the rooms. I've listed it all out, and I'll send you tonight some FAQs that might interest you, that you might want to have in your head if anybody asks you any questions. But you can also always direct people to our admin team, and anybody wearing the art staff T-shirt. They've been fully prepped on all of the questions and be able to help more. But yeah, if you guys just really want to pump up the registration and the programs, and if anybody wants to sign up for classes right there or has questions, just send them to the admin office.
Okay, great.
We expect a lot of the same questions to things about the instructors and the programming and days of the week. And you guys are fairly well versed in how that process all came to be, with doing the survey and having that information go to council. And so a lot of things you will know the answers to from having been involved in the process. But if there's anything that you don't know the answers, just let them know. Let me go find somebody who can answer that. One of us will likely know the answer. We're excited that the public is as excited as they are, and we're looking forward to sharing all of that with them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, such a momentous day that this is happening after many, many years. So, yeah.
Yes.
All right, awesome. So we'll see each other there.
I had one other thing I wanted to share. You'll get to see it tomorrow, and that is the original Pacific View School sign was painted, so it pays respect to the Pacific View School while also adding on the Art Center. And that was a fairly last-minute project that we were able to get accomplished, and I think it was a really good addition. So take a peek, look for that tomorrow.
Very fun. Yeah. Okay, we will. Take some photos. Again, just a congratulations and shout out to staff, to everyone. I know it's been like heads down, and yeah, and to know that this is just the beginning is impressive and exciting, inspiring. So
Staff has really, put into it. Jess has really thrown herself into it and done a spectacular job. We've got the staff I introduced you to tonight has very much pulled through and just thrown their all into it.
as you.
And Jess is on her way now to go promote things. She's going down to one of the TV stations to say nice things about it.
Awesome. Good night. So we'll move on to the commission calendar.
All right. So in addition to Pacific View, we still have some concerts going on. The regular Wednesdays at noon, it always seems to be in the summer. They're even more popular than usual, and I would encourage everyone, if it's really important, please come at 11:30. Doors open at 11:30. We are limited to 170 seats. First 170 seated get to see the show. The others, I am so sorry, we have to follow safety protocols, and we can't let you in. It is a safety, the room is rated for that many, and that's how many can be there. So please be kind to staff when they have to let you know that you are number 171 and later. The summer concerts at Moonlight have been incredibly popular, drawing bigger and bigger crowds. We don't expect it to be any different for Sunday. So you can go to the opening at Pacific View at 10 in the morning on Saturday, and then you can go over to El Portal for the unveiling at 12:15. You can rest and recover, get up and go to the concert at Moonlight on Sunday the 11th. It is a full weekend coming up. And having extra volunteers at those is also really helpful. We have musicians coming and going. We have a lot of members of the public who are really excited asking questions. So it's everything from standing there, watching gear, answering questions. There's so many different ways that if you have some time on Sundays to be helpful, we'd really appreciate it.
And what time are the summer concerts?
We start setting up around 7 o'clock in the morning, and we finish about 7 p.m. So by the time we go through the setup, the concerts itself, and then the breakdown, it's a 12-hour day. And throughout that, there's just little chunks where sometimes it's literally just holding a spot, helping to direct musicians to where they need to go, watching their equipment. There's any number of things. If you had an hour.
Yeah, and again, all of us sharing volunteer opportunities for everyone in the community who's looking for that. And the concert itself begins at what time?
The music itself starts at 1. We are working with youth artists, youth bands, who have either won maybe a Battle of the Bands concert, so that's where they're coming in through these. And I apologize, I can't remember who they are this time, but last weekend, they were stunning. 91X has been emceeing the concerts this year. It's a nice partnership with them. And they're even looking at some of these musicians. The two are from the Sunday evening program where it's a lot of new music, and it's nice to have that support and have the kids playing and really getting to enjoy the crowds and the adoration that they're getting.
Awesome.
And the headliner goes on around 3:30.
Mm-hmm. And it finishes up around?
No later than 5.
Okay. So 1 to 5. Okay. Thank you for those reports. I don't believe we have a commissioner member initiated item. Does anyone want to put one on for next month? And future agenda items added by commission members? No. And we'll move on to commissioners' reports. Does anyone have anything they want to share? Something that they attended? Thinking about? I will say I brought my son to one of the Wednesday at noons. He's just been too little to really participate. But I said, you have to be really quiet. And so they ushered us into the front row. And he sat quietly for 30 minutes, looking and singing along. It was really fun. And it really is kind of just an astounding space and beautiful, all of it, no matter who is playing. And yeah, so there's been so many very cool concerts there. Anybody else? No. Okay, then I would say looking forward to tomorrow, looking forward to this weekend, and looking forward to updates next week. I do actually just want to commend everyone. I know all of the ad hocs have been really, really active, and it's been inspiring to see. I feel like there's already been a lot of work done, even if it hasn't been updated upon, that by the end of our year we will have been, pretty successful and actionable. So thank you. And we'll adjourn this meeting tonight at 6:30 on the dot.
Thank you all for all your hard work.
Next meeting is?
It's a special meeting held on the Tuesday after.
On the Tuesday, which is the 3rd, I believe. Is it the 3rd or the 10th? I actually don't have it yet in my calendar.
You voted to have it be on the first Tuesday.
September 3rd at 5 p.m. Tuesday, yeah, instead of that Monday.